connected. This is where it's at. From NBA insights to the latest chit chat. Grab your popcorn, sit tight, we're ready to roll. In the heart of Sacktown, we're feeding your soul. In the King's Court, the vibe's electric. If you don't like that, we're here to correct it. With the best in the game, we're raising the bar. From the hardwood to the airways, we're the King's shining star. With the NFL, Adams in the ring. Rhino's got the wisdom, hear the praises we sing. Court in session, it's a royal affair. With the fans all around, feel the passion in the air. In the King's Court, the vibe's electric. If you don't like that, we're here to correct it. With the best in the game, we're raising the bar. From the hardwood to the airways, we're the King's shining star.
You made it. Happy Friday. What's going on, everybody? How you feeling about last night? One question for you.
Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained? How about that game one? Tell you what, there is more than enough meat on the bones to talk about for game one of the finals last night. As I stumble over my words because I have uncovered a conspiracy, which I will talk about here in a few minutes. So I got to know, what camp are you in right now? And I don't know, as I look at the title, I'm like, I wonder if people look at that as Haliburton, or it's supposed to be Haliburton. But maybe people are like, oh, it's Halo. You're taking a shot at the kid. Not taking a shot at him whatsoever. But like when Hallie had that moment last night, were you just like excited? Or were you part of the Kings fans that were kind of like
Tyrese Haliburton?
Tyrese Haliburton? Or were you kind of screaming out because you couldn't believe what you just saw? Listen, this is Kings fan. Balls in the air. Oh! Anyways, we'll break it down. A historic run by the Indiana Pacers. Regardless of whether or not they win this series, this might be the most memorable playoff run I have ever seen in my lifetime. Not talking about because it's been so dominant, not talking about because they were such big underdogs. I just don't know that I have seen a team with such high basketball IQ, such high belief, and above all, they don't get rattled. Nothing scares them. This team ain't scared. They've now gone up 1-0 on the road again against the Thunder. You know the last time the Thunder lost a home game to an Eastern Conference team? You got to rewind the tape all the way back to 2024. In March, it was the Pacers that knocked him off. So we've got a lot to talk about with this game. We will go through it today. It is Royal Rumble Friday. So get up in here. If you want to be a part of the show, you can call the show anytime. We've got Money in the Bank coming up this weekend. So we will do our WWE segment with Adam. And that's where my conspiracy theory starts. So if you're just tuning in, we're getting into the show. We'll be with you till about 5 o'clock today. But we do our wrestling segment. In fact, wrestling shirt. I'm going wrestling shirt again on a Friday. I only own 2. So get used to either this or Cena. So anyways, I'm like, what can I throw Adam with the sound? Because usually, like, he knows his wrestling. That's why he's the correspondent here in the King's Court. And I'm like, I know exactly what I'm going to hit Adam with. Anybody that watched WWE in the Attitude Era, you remember this guy.
Hello, ladies.
Good old Val Venus, right? Val Venus. Hello, ladies. Well, I'm like, okay, it's a great drop, number one. You got to cut it off soon enough. But number 2 is it's arguably the greatest and funniest Titantron or entrance video that you've ever seen WWE produce. And WWE has done some stuff that's like right up against the line. It kind of tiptoes over the line. And Jim Rome always says the internet is in ink. It's permanent. You can't get anything scrubbed off of it. So I'm like, it's not going to be a problem to find that Titantron. Not that it would be appropriate to show here. You can't find it. WWE has somehow scrubbed this thing. There is one person on YouTube that has 9 seconds of it.
Hello, ladies.
It's incredible. So we'll have to get Adam's thoughts on that. Also in the news, so we're going to talk about the finals. We'll be heavy on the finals. I had the Pacers last night. I had some of you Xing at me. The game's over. Sweep. Told you it's a sweep. I'm like, are you watching the same game? I'm not sure that you are, because the game that I was watching was Oklahoma City getting a ton of production from their role guys and their star, SGA, which he didn't get to the line as much in the first half, but he was getting anywhere he wanted to go. And by the way, Indiana was spraying the basketball all over the court. I put a tweet out about the most turnovers in an NBA Finals half, and they were like at 18 or 19 when I put the tweet out. I'm like, they're not going to get up or close to 26. They darn sure did. But then they turned that off in the second half, but they were hanging around. So I'm like, this team, they're hanging around. They didn't lead one time in the first half. In fact, at one point, and I'm not going to go all into it right now, at one point with about 4 minutes left in the first quarter, the score was 15-8. And the Thunder got out to a 7-0 lead. Indy outshot, believe it or not, percentage-wise, the Thunder from the floor in the first quarter. So I'm thinking this Indy team, they're hanging around, and you look, and Siakam didn't do much. Tyrese didn't do much. So we'll work our way up to this moment, and we'll talk about it here in a little bit. Want to get you guys involved in the show as well. Again, ton of meat left on that bone, like the Bennett's chicken and ribs plate. You got a ton of meat on that as well. Bennett'sRestaurants.com, 3 in greater Sacramento area. Go check them out. In the news also, it's going to be a pretty straightforward day. Aaron Rodgers finally signs with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Thank goodness we could bring this to a halt. I'm not going to give away my thoughts on it right now, and my thoughts aren't even about him landing in Pittsburgh, but I do think that makes for a very, very interesting dynamic when it comes to Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers. Talking about two people that like to do things their own way, draw a line in the sand. That's both of them. And Rodgers comes with baggage. Mike Tomlin doesn't usually like checking bags when he flies, if you get what I'm saying. But what I wanted to get to moreover was, do you remember who Aaron Rodgers took over for? Brett Favre, right? Do you remember the circus, the absolute media circus that went on? Brett Favre retired. Is he coming out of retirement? He came out of retirement. Wait, he retired again. Is he going to come back again? Do you remember the coverage, like ESPN tracking PJs flying between Mississippi and Minnesota? I never thought Aaron Rodgers ever could surpass that much off the field just BS when it comes to, are you going to sign your name to the line or not? Are you going to play or not? And I'll tell you what, he is about one bad picture that shouldn't be shared with anybody away from being right there with Favre. just a little bit away. So we'll get to that as well. But again, heavy emphasis today on the NBA Finals. Richard Jefferson, this guy was terrible last night. He's been terrible all playoffs. We'll get to him as well. So let's get to you, though. Let's get you in on the conversation on an open forum. Well, not open forum, but a Royal Rumble Friday, meaning you can call anytime, talk about whatever you want. We've had bodybuilding. We've had, we've had a little bit of everything. Anyways, I think we had horse racing. We've done it all. But hey, Grant, 8 o'clock back tonight. Hopefully you caught our show last night. It was a fun post-game show, a little bit of a weird post-game show. Some of you were a little bit out of form, or maybe you were in mid-season form with some of the comments. But thanks for watching. Join Grant again tonight. You got the Stanley Cup Finals tonight as well. I am going to be tuned in and locked in for that. That series between Florida and Edmonton is a very, very good one. Last game went to overtime. 99 Knicks. Tristan came for the WWE state. Okay. All right. Tristan's here for WWE. Jeff, what's up, man? The shot he hit with 0.3 seconds remaining in game one of the NBA Finals to beat Oklahoma City Thunder, which silenced the loudest fan base in the league. There were people that were at the game that I listened to late last night that said really from about you remember the Jalen Williams dunk where he stole the ball. Actually, I wrote down a few time marks as we're going to go through this thing, but he got a steal at 9:42 in the fourth quarter. And after that timeout, many of them said it turned into like a mausoleum. Like you felt the tide turning. You could tell the anxiety was rising. And as the building's anxiety riz, and as the Oklahoma City Thunder began to tighten up, guess what? Pacers, they got looser. They got into their comfort zone, which is insane for this team. When you win, it blocks out a lot of stuff. Absolutely. Different take on fan base than Grant. Yeah, I know. I had a different. He said he was disappointed with the amount of crowd noise or what the fans brought last night. I wasn't. I was kind of silent when he said that, but I was when the fourth quarter hit. It was definitely a little bit different because you knew what was coming. What's up? How you doing, AP? It's been a minute. That Pacers call sounds like the what's up? We'll play some of them. We're going to play the international calls for you. We're going to see which one you think is the best. I know which one I think is the best. So looked like OKC was going to put them away early, then late. Then the fourth happened. Look, as soon as it was halftime, I mean, first half stats, right? The Pacers have 19 turnovers. 19. OKC, 4 turnovers. There was one stat, though, that stood out beyond all others for me. You go into the locker room with a 12-point lead if you're Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City, here's a couple of stats for you. Coming in to last night in the playoffs, Oklahoma City's net rating on their home court was a positive 24.6. Let me repeat that. 24.6. Okay. Here's the other big statistic. And this is the one where even though OKC was up 12 points at halftime, I was feeling more like it was a new game. It was an even game because on those 19 turnovers, Oklahoma City only scored 9 points. 9 points. That's insane. Oklahoma City averages 25 points a game off of turnovers this postseason. They lead all playoff teams in that category. So as soon as I saw that they did not make the Pacers pay for their mistakes, and I know what the Pacers have been doing all postseason, and you know Rick Carlisle's going to adjust, I felt like it was going to be an even game, and it was. The Pacers won the third quarter. They won the fourth quarter. They went on a 32-16 run to end this game, if you didn't know that. 32-16. Also, This is an insane stat. Coming into the playoffs this year, there was only one team out of 2,000 in the history of the NBA playoffs that had come back from down 7 with a minute left to go. This is now not the first, not the second, not the third, the fourth time the Pacers have done it this postseason. Does it not begin to feel like something's different? I talked about the difference in their net ratings too, in wins, losses, home and away. Oklahoma City's net rating, home and road, is crazy. I told you the 24.9. Their net rating on the road in the postseason is a negative 6.9. Now, let me give you Indiana's. Indiana's net ratings, well, not as impressive. They are way more consistent. Home games, Indiana, 5.8 positive net rating. Road games, 2.5 positive net rating. There's an argument to be made that, and that's why I was shocked by the odds makers. The odds makers are looking at the home court advantage for Oklahoma City, and they're not looking at the consistency in which the Pacers play, home and a road. It's nuts. Flores, what's up, man? How you doing today? Let's see. It wasn't like Haliburton dropped 45, 13 and 12, but he didn't. Okay. Haliburton, that's my point. That is exactly my point, and you don't know that, but we'll get into it as the show goes along. Yes, I agree. And that's what's kind of scary about the rest of the series. If Denver had role players that could hit open shots it's a great point. It's a great point. My buddy Eric, hey Snides, I know you're probably going to listen to this on the replay. We put up a little bet on X. I said whoever won the OKC Denver series, they would move on. They would knock out Minnesota, no problem. And yeah, Denver. Here's the other thing, AP. How injured was Denver playing? Westbrook needed surgery. Porter Jr. couldn't lift his arm above his head. Aaron Gordon, grade 2 hamstring. And they still took him to 7. Rhino, if OKC doesn't come and blow the Pacers out of the water on Sunday, the Pacers will have confidence. Look, even if they get blown out, they will still have a lot of confidence rolling in to Indianapolis, having an even series. There was a good section, and this was what somebody said too. There's a decent contingent of Pacers fans that made the trip for game 1. They thought that offset some of the noise. I can only imagine the amount of Pacers fans that are probably going to try to get down in that area. Watch it. What did I do? Everybody knew the Hallie trade was stupid. It was not money or Monday morning quarterback. Yeah, it's kind of a beat conversation. I think at this point, in fact, here, why don't we set the table? Jerry was on with us Tuesday. I asked him flat out, if you could start, check out the video, Jerry Reynolds, Tuesday.
That way for years and probably will be again.
Yep. Shortly. Okay. Last 2 questions. You said 7 games. Which way are you going?
I'm going OKC. Okay. Going with the West team in the West at 168 games, and I think it'll take 7. I really do. And I don't know that either team. I don't know that Oklahoma City can win 4 at home, but I kind of see them winning 3 at home and 1 on the road somewhere to get their 4.
All right. And here's the zinger. Here's what we're going to get you out the door on. We're so thankful to have you on Tuesdays. Knowing what you know right now and where each player is at, if you could go back and pick one, Tyrese or Luka for the Kings?
Ooh, that's a great question. I'd knowing the fact that Tyrese is just better conditioned and everything and a little bit younger, I'd probably take Tyrese. Having said that, I mean, Luka's done quite a bit more, career, and then you don't want to discount that. I mean, I I still think, people can say whatever they want about him, but the guy's unguardable, and the best is probably ahead. But if I had to take one to build a team around today, I'd probably take Tyrese.
I'm with you because people want to play with him. You don't see as many people running to play with Luka.
Yeah, I mean, Luka's more of a ball stopper, and I mean, where Tyrese is a natural point guard, where Luka's really a scorer. He's really a better version of Fox. Or Anthony Edwards. I mean, he's a better version of those guys because he's a more efficient scorer.
It is pretty crazy that you put Luka in the category of Anthony Edwards game wise when you look at them physically. Could it be more different?
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously Edwards is fantastic, a lot more athletic, but it's also not nearly as skilled either. He's not even close to the skill level of Luka, and so his game is built on athleticism, and Luka's is built on skill, and that's why probably if I had to choose between the two for one season, I would definitely take Luka.
Amen. Well, I hope you enjoy the final. So that was Jerry on Tuesday. So we talked about last night. Grant said he knew that Hallie, and I asked the question because Grant's kind of drawn this line, and I see the line he's drawn. I didn't at first until we had a good debate about it. Hallie is not a special talent. He's a special player. There's that line. And I asked him last night, I said, could you tell he was that special early on? And Grant said, yeah. So I thought that was very interesting as we dive back into the chat. Look at that. The Pacers led 0.3 seconds of this game. 0.3 seconds. AP says Pacers and Fever win championships this year. Jerry will be a happy man. Yeah, Jerry will be hip hopping all through town. Can't you see him right
Jerry
now?
Reynolds Tuesday let the good.
We came up with his imaging, and the best compliment he said is he could see that playing at a local bar in French Lick. So we did well, but yes, he would be happy if that happened. He has a lot of friends within the Pacers organization. I don't know. Look, the Thunder, they are by net rating the best team ever by net rating in the NBA. And it's so hard to go against that. And I understand. I get it that they can easily bounce back. It's so hard to go against that. But the Pacers, why don't we add up the wins? I don't have them in front of me. But look at the teams the Pacers have beaten to get here. Milwaukee, Cleveland, New York. Whether the Pacers win a championship or not this year, this is already an absolutely historic run. And so it's really hard to go against OKC because everything tells me in my gut, this is OKC. This is their year, right? This could be the start of, I'm not going to call it a dynasty, but others out there have called it a dynasty. That's what your gut says, but your eyes, the basketball IQ, and I'm going to run through the game with everybody and we'll keep getting through your comments. The basketball IQ of this team is just insane. The trust that this team has with each other, insane. The coaching, insane. Just the composure. I don't know if I've seen a more composed team, honestly. I don't know if I have seen a more composed team since the Jordan Bulls. Composed. Didn't say better. Didn't say exciting. Composed. Ice water in their veins. Nutty. Once Luka gets back in shape, he will be lethal. We'll see. When has Luka been in shape? That's the thing. Guy has just rode on his talent, which is incredible. Yeah, you don't have either. I get it. I get it. But I also don't get why Kings fans are hating on Haliburton. I get if you're hating on the team. But you have to remember the Kings didn't exactly lose that trade either. Like me and Dirk called last night. I'm one of those people that I'm rooting for Tyrese Haliburton. I don't know about all you. That's where I'm at. At least Levine. Yeah, right. I love the Jerry jingle. Reminds me of. That's funny. Good job by you, Tristan. Tristan getting a lot of traction with Jerry Reynolds as of late. So let's go through this thing really quick. Let's talk about it last night, how this thing started off, because I wrote down some thoughts on this one, and not my takes, but some of the key things that I took away from this game, and then we'll run through the stats as well. We've got Adam coming up with wrestling here in probably about another hour. And we've also got some Aaron Rodgers to talk about. He is on his way to the Steelers. If you want to call the show, you can call anytime. All you got to do is click the link, and that will get you in. We'll keep putting your comments up as well. Would you have taken a prime Sabonis or a prime Horford? That's a really good question, because they're completely different players. You don't have to build your offense around Horford to get the most out of him. Let me stew on that. Here's the okay. I'll stew on that. I want you to stew on this. Love it. Wants him to win. Good. I think that's awesome. That's where I'm at. Why would you hate on this young man? He fell in love with this. And I get it was a short time. So I'm not going to give him a hard time. And I'm not going to get on him for being upset and publicly making comments and crying about leaving Sacramento and say, oh, it's fake. No, it's not where I'm at with him. He was here for really a quote unquote cup of coffee. And he did really well. He stood out. But at the same time, as a Kings fan, like, he didn't do anything. He didn't request a trade. He was blindsided. So why would you root against him? I wouldn't, trying to preach positivity here. Don't want you to take frustration out or be negative across the board, but if that's your brand, it should be directed towards 500 David J. Stern walk, man. That's where it should be. Not here. Not at Hallie. What will be interesting, though, is when Hallie comes back to Sacktown next year. That's going to be an interesting response. It's going to be massive. It's going to be massive. And he's going to come in here, championship or not, he's going to come in here feeling like a different player, like he's on a different level, which leads me to the thought that I'm going to ask you as I run through the game. This became a big topic last night on the show about superstar versus all-star. Have the Kings ever had a superstar? So I'm not looking to have the conversation. Have the Kings ever had a superstar? And when I say Kings, I mean Sacramento Kings, not Rochester, not Kansas City Royals, none of that. Sacramento Kings. Have the Sacramento Kings ever had a superstar? Put that away. Here's the question I'm asking you. Are the Sacramento Kings the only franchise currently in the NBA that has never had a superstar? Because when I started looking through the league, I'm like, yeah, check mark there. Check mark there. Check mark there. Yeah, check mark. No. Oh, I forgot about that guy. Check mark. Legit. I don't know. And by the way, I don't think you can say Tyrese Haliburton, because that's not who he was here. I'm talking about had a bona fide superstar that you had to run with. I think the Kings are, if at minimum, the Kings are one of 5 teams in the NBA that have never had a superstar. So think about that as we roll through this one. So a little bit of a frenetic beginning. Like I said, the Thunder get up 7-0 to start the game. The Pacers, they look a little bit fragmented. The biggest thing that I noticed right off the bat was Indiana was not playing from the spots that they normally play from. The Thunder were pushing them out. So not only were the Thunder pushing them out, Indiana's playing against the best defense that takes angles away from you that work against 28 other teams in the NBA, in the Thunder. So between those two things, a lot of the turnovers happen. You want to add in nerves, absolutely. But as you look at that quarter roll out, I'm thinking, well, how is it only 15-8 with 4 minutes to go, despite all the Indy turnovers? And then the Thunder go on a really good run. They go on a good run. They push it to 29-20 at the end of the quarter. Funny enough, though, look at the shooting percentages. The Thunder, they shot 40.7 from the field, 50% from the three-point line. Indy, 47.1 from the field, 33.3% from the three-point line. Indy had 9 turnovers in that quarter. Thunder only had 2 assists. The Thunder did not play that great, but what the Thunder were doing, and Isaiah Hartenstein did a really good job of this, came in the Thunder were getting all the loose balls. They were getting all the 50-50 balls. Indiana just wasn't. Indiana, it's almost like they were trying to process everything. They weren't shook, but they were trying to process everything. They knew they needed to slow down. You get to the second quarter. The second quarter ended up being 28-25 in favor of Oklahoma City, and that quarter also ended. But not Sacramento, B. Jones. Sacramento. Did Oscar play for Sacramento? I don't think he played for Sacramento, right? I'm checking. Somebody else help me. Pick me up. Pick me up in the chat as I check and I interrupt my thought. I don't think he played for Sacramento. Maybe I'm wrong. Could be wrong. Probably wrong. So there's an argument. Okay, we'll take that if he was in Sacramento. So anyways, Indy ends up not ending the second half well. Again, so there's your second quarter. They have a big thing of turnovers. We've already talked about kind of the halftime thing. And as I'm looking at, or my thoughts at halftime, where I'm like, this is kind of even for the most part in my eyes. And this is when I'm getting all of the tweets and texts from people and exes or people I know and X messages from some of you like, told you, sweep, this thing's over, sweep. You look at halftime. Pascal Siakam only had 8 points. Haliburton pretty much shut down, 6 points. Okay. And then I go down and I look at what's going on with Oklahoma City. They are getting a decent amount of bench production. And remember, Oklahoma City also changed their starting lineup at the last second. So they put Cason Wallace in instead of Isaiah Hartenstein, which was an interesting move. They didn't want to go big, so they adjusted to the Pacers before the game even started. You were getting a lot of production from Alex Caruso. But the biggest thing, correct? Okay. All right, B. Jones. All right, perfect. Thanks for picking me up. All right. Okay, so there's a candidate for being a superstar. I think that probably applies. Okay, so maybe the Kings do have one. Anybody else? Okay, so Peter's saying he didn't. Peter is a reliable source around here. We had Bill Russell in Sacramento, but he was the coach and not a player. Nice try. Fox, Herder, Sabonis, Murray. Barnes thought the team was promising. What did the Kings get for Barnes? Barnes was part of, what was the deal? It was San Antonio. It was I'm going brain dead. I'll look that up. Vivek has a buddy in I know. Yeah, you sent me that. They're starting to approach similar territory for sure. They're starting to approach similar territory. So, anyways, back to the finals. I'm looking at Lou Dort. I'm looking at some of these looks these other guys are getting for the Thunder. Lou Dort, who was only shooting 30-some percent, 33% coming into last night. So it was. Here's my first half storylines. OKC's 12-point lead came off of two strong runs, which we've talked about. Indiana shot the ball decently, just not as many looks because they turned the ball over as much. 4 Pacers with 3 or more turnovers. That's terrible. Can't happen. And then OKC is only +5 in points off of turnovers. That was the clearest thing for me. No, it doesn't work. Doesn't work, Adam, because he twilighted here. I'm talking about a superstar that you had a run with. You had a bona fide run with. Doesn't mean it has to be a championship, but a bona fide run. Thank you, Tristan. I knew I was right. Why do I double? See, I got to go with my first thought. Thanks for picking us up. But it was a good thought. Oscar was a good thought. So I'm thinking this is all going to come down to, can you take care of the basketball? And that's exactly what Indiana did. And they kept creeping back. The lead would push out. They crept back. But this was the difference. When it started getting tight, the Thunder only had a couple options. They really did. It was SGA. It was Williams. But then you go to the Pacers, you've got different guys that are contributing and bringing this team back while you've got Siakam and Haliburton that are not having great games. The ball starts bouncing their way. They only turn the ball over 2 times in the second half. That's when I knew Oklahoma City's chance had passed and they tightened up. Whereas you are going to 2 or 3 players on the court and Indy knows it. Anybody on Indy that was on the court, everybody, I should say, for Indy, for the most part, that was on the court contributed. Like if I look at fourth quarter scoring, it was crazy just how good this team played despite everything, despite the turnovers, despite the environment. You saw, in my opinion, the 8 days off really show up midway through the fourth quarter. OKC to me looked a little bit more gassed, and the Pacers looked like they were on cruise control. They were comfortable being there. The pressure of the world was on Oklahoma City, and the building knew it because they had watched this Pacers team over and over and over again steal games this postseason. So the moment comes down, Tyrese hits the massive shot. See the fans in the background. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. See some Pacers fans. I thought this was a great illustration. Is it Peter that sent me? No. Who sent me that? It was Patrick. Good job by you, Patrick. So this was Hallie after they won the game.
I said it earlier. Your best player can't put up tour dates. And Lisa's got him.
Tyrese, just take me through that last possession. You guys didn't call timeout. Take me through the last game possession.
Yeah, man, we got to stop. And coach trusts us in those moments to not call timeouts. Trust me in those moments. Guys trust me, and just trying to make a play. So, man, basketball's fun, man. Winning is fun. That's a great win for us.
How about the defensive possession? There was still 0.3 left.
Yeah. Big time play. Miles did a great job at the rim. They tried to do a pin down to get him out of the action so I could throw the lob. Miles got around it. Good tip. And, man, it's a total team effort. We had so many guys chip in. Obi was huge off the bench. Miles in the fourth. Andrew Nemhard in the fourth. so many guys step up, and just really proud of this group.
Tyrese, you guys were down 15 in the fourth quarter. Just how were you able to just hang around long enough to steal this one?
Man, we just had to figure out how to win in so many different ways all year. Past 2 years, there's so many weird different ways, and we just figured out we're a resilient group, and just really proud of this group.
And you said it, you guys have done it over and over and over again in these playoffs. You've had these tremendous comebacks. Just what makes this team so relentless?
Man, we just we keep believing, and we stay together. And it ain't over till it's over. It ain't over till it hits 0. And we just keep pushing. So, like I said, really proud of this group.
Congrats on the win. We'll see you game 2.
Appreciate it.
So there's your fourth quarter scoring right there. Check this out. Look at the distribution amongst the Pacers. Obi Toppin hit some massive shots. To me, it really kind of started to turn there in the fourth quarter when Miles Turner hits that 3 off the glass. And then you get Nembhard, who steps up and hits 2 massive threes. But look at the scoring distribution, 3-3, 8-8, 4-4. You only get 7 points combined in the fourth quarter from Hallie and Siakam, the go-to guys. So those guys did not play a great game by any means, but it didn't shake their confidence. And more importantly, they had confidence that wasn't built last series, that wasn't built the series before, but it's been building since the start of the year. Those two leaders on this team have confidence in everybody else playing minutes. And those two guys don't have a problem not having the ball in their hands at the end of the game, because that's really what brought them back. You can see the scoring distribution for the Thunder. You get 0 from Dort in the fourth quarter, 0 from Holmgren. You had 2 places to go. It was Jalen Williams and SGA. Aaron Wiggins has 1, Caruso with 4. So that's what the difference was. There's 1 or 2 routes for the Thunder to come back. There's like 7 or 8 for the Pacers. It's really trippy. That's why I say I don't know that I have seen a team this clutch with this much belief in each other than the Jordan Bulls. Seriously. That when it gets tough, and I'm not saying they're as good. Don't take that as the same thing. But when things get tough, this team locks in even more. They live for these moments, and they don't care who gets the moment. That's what's freaking cool to me. So I want to play this for you guys. This was the game winner, but we're going the international versions. We're going to give you 3 of them. First one, Portuguese.
Eles vão ter a chance de vencer o jogo. Bola para ele, pro homem clutch da temporada. Haliburton no jumper, ela cai! Ela cai! Deus, diferente dos pés!
How about that? Did you hear that? That was kind of weird. That was like a Chewbacca meets, I don't know. Put it in the chat. Okay, here was the Korean broadcast.
자, 언더독인 인디애나가 익숙한 상황을 맞이한다. 할리버튼!
Wow! All I could think about is the Budweiser commercials. What's up? It's like those 2 guys looked at each other and just started going, what's up? Spanish.
La oportunidad para los Pacers. No le queda nada a este partido. Será Haliburton de nuevo. A ver, Tyrese Haliburton a distancia. Quemando las redes. Tyrese Haliburton por cuarta ocasión en esta postemporada.
So which one was your favorite? I think Korean is probably the best one, but there is 2. So if you're a Kings fan that's happy for Hallie, this is the one that you were making. This is the sound you were making.
Tyrese Haliburton.
Tyrese Haliburton. If you are a Hallie hater, or you're upset at the franchise, this was you. Oh, it's like he got kicked in the package. Man, what a night. What a game. And now even more pressure turns back onto the Oklahoma City Thunder. Plus 750 in some places in this series. Remember, they went up 2-0. The Pacers last series against the Knicks. This series is far from over. Far from over. But tell me if you think the Thunder are winning this series. If you think this is the Thunder's series still, and you're unshaken by what happened last night, what are you pointing to for optimism? I'll ask you again. Where's your optimism if you're the Thunder? You got 38 from SGA. I mean, I could point to a couple, but I'm going to play the other side. You got 38 from SGA. You got a really good performance from your bench, 28. Like, is Lou Dort going to shoot the ball any better? I don't think he is. You could point at Chet Holmgren and say, yeah, he's got to play better. He finishes, I believe, with 6 points. But as we go to the team stats, you turned the ball over. You got 25 turnovers. Look at the assists. 13 assists. Not many people. That's fair. I like that. I like that, McClain. Are you like John McClain? That's funny. Haunted Horse is going to be all over that, McClain. I had never seen that movie until roughly 6 months ago. Okay. You probably get that all the time. So for you, McClain.
Welcome to the party, pal.
But I guess you've got to hope that Indiana's role players don't play as well. I don't think you're turning them over 25 times again. I don't. Here, I'll take myself down so you can see everything. I don't think you're turning them over 25 times. You need to be more. You definitely have to be way better. And maybe this is the question. I gave a lot of credit last night to Indiana's transition defense. A ton of credit. Because when you turn the ball over 25 times and you only give up 9 points on those 25 turnovers, you're either getting back and defending well, and there was a couple of those. Alex Caruso gets the steal, and somebody steps in and takes a charge. So I guess if you're – I don't know how much better the Thunder's defense can play. It comes down to offense, clearly. You only get to the line 24 times. Maybe you improve there. But on the flip side, okay, I'll give you an equal flip side. I doubt Obi Toppin is going to have as many points next game as he did. You got to think Siakam. You've got to think Hallie have better games. All 5 scores in double digits. I don't know if that happens again. Obi was 17, as I said. TJ played okay. He had 9. Thomas Bryant hit a couple of big shots. So some of those will definitely fall off. There's no doubt about that. But this season, or this series, I think is much more even than many think. So Let me know what you're thinking. Rock, stay away from that, please. I just saw what you put in the chat. We don't need you going anywhere near the bridge at this point. In fact, like seriously, I'm happy. I'm happy for Hallie. But it is one game. So we'll see. Man, for OKC, for everything to break perfectly for OKC defensively. Now, it didn't break perfectly in transition, but the second chances, the steals, for it to break perfectly and you still lose that game and get 38 from SGA, it's a tough ask. If I'm OKC's coach, I'm looking at the positives we did. Yeah, sure. But can you replicate them? How we had a lead, say it's one game, we say we're capable of winning. We just need to close. And hasn't that been the question mark about them? And I think that's where that's the biggest thing. That is one of the biggest separators between these two teams is you've got 7 dudes theoretically on Indiana that can take that are not afraid to step into a last minute shot. And you don't think Rick Carlisle believes that? He didn't call a timeout before Hallie hit the 3. If I'm looking at OKC, and this was a concern coming in as well, how many guys do you have that can knock down that shot? Jalen Williams can knock down that shot. SGA can knock down that shot. You think Isaiah Joe's going to do it? He's probably not on the floor. You think Lou Dort? No offense, Lou Dort. You were shooting below 35% in the playoffs. So really interesting stuff. Let's go to the phones really quick. Oh, look, we might as well welcome him back to the party. McLean.
Welcome to the party, pal.
What's up, dude? How you doing today on this Friday?
Not much. I just wanted to let you know I'm named after Denny McLean. He's the last 30-game winner, 1968 Detroit Tigers.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
Well, I mean, I guess my dad told me he was like the big deal when he was a kid or something. I don't know. But yes, the diehard thing does get annoying because I wasn't named after. Everyone thinks I'm named after that, but I wasn't. So, and my dad thought a good nickname is Mac, and he thought, what a good baseball name, Mac Utterback.
Nice.
Anyway, we talked on Friday. I hope you recall, we talked about the John Morant thing.
Mm-hmm.
I did some more reflecting, and I thought even more why John Morant would be the good way to go to that franchise. Do you mind if I say that?
Yeah, go for it, man.
So I was thinking, like, what has this franchise in 40 years, the last 40 years, been good at and not good at? Well, one thing you could argue that they have never been good at developing talent. Because if they were, you could argue if they were, Gerald Wallace. You could argue that that we wouldn't have had Ron Artest on the team, and that Gerald Wallace would have became the new franchise player when Weber went down. There's also Peja Stojakovic. Didn't he play in Europe and kind of get refined in Europe?
Yeah, he played a fair amount of ball over there.
Hedo Turkoglu. I don't think he got much better when he was with Sacramento. He kind of just he came in as a rookie, played really well, and he didn't really improve. Jason Williams, he never got developed, so we had to go get Mike Bibby. So I'm thinking, okay, what has worked? Well, we've gotten Mitch Richmond, we've gotten Chris Webber. We're also really good at getting veterans who are on their last leg, who want their last paycheck. For example, Vince Carter, right? Yeah. Rondo, even Vlade Divac. And then once we have little pieces, we've added like a Brad Miller and whatnot. So I was thinking you may want to, because we've never, I don't think we developed De'Aaron Fox. He never, his whole problem was he didn't have a jump shot, never had a 3 and free throws. I don't think he's really been better than a 78% free throw shooter, and that's kind of his whole game is getting to the rack.
Mhm.
So I don't think he really developed. He kind of just stayed the same. He got a little bit better defensively, but he also matured. His body grew. So if I were the Kings, I would definitely go with John Morant. I might think about keeping Sabonis. Try thinking about how I could work with Zach LaVine and all that, because even in your best years, you've never been good with development. And maybe you can bring in guys on older veterans on good contracts, because I just don't know. Like I know it makes sense to go and draft and get a good superstar and young, but they never been able to do that. And so that's why I think this team needs an established superstar, because when they have an established superstar, then it allows other people who might want to come to the destination, and you can make like you guys small upgrades every year. I think that's the way that the Kings should build. What do you think? Am I too far off?
No, I think you make a decent point. Do you consider John Morant a superstar?
You know what I do? Because in my opinion, if you took him off of Memphis, they've always been a number 2 seed. They've been a consistent playoff team.
Yeah.
And you take him off that team, or when he's hurt, is that team? Do they go to the conference finals? Do they go? You know what I'm saying? Are they competitive? Are they a 2 seed? Are they consistently a team that you should worry about? And I think that they're a decent. I would say no. That's why I would say, and John Morant is in a very similar place as Chris Webber, and I think you could offer Keegan Murray, because let's be honest, Keegan Murray is great defensively, but has he developed offensively? Has he become that guy that we want to shoot the final shot? The guy that because we kind of have always been hoping for 3-4 years that Keegan makes a little bit more of a jump on offense, and he hasn't yet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, could we offer him? Would people be interested in him? I think Valanciunas would be a great guy to package into, because he's a great professional. Great. I mean, he could start. I think you could offer John Morant, Valanciunas, and some other, and maybe even a Keon Ellis. I know that stinks, but you have to give up talent to get talent. And I wonder if Memphis might talk to you, at least pick up the phone. I don't know. I mean, what do you think?
Well, here's my problem with it. I think that means you believe, as the Kings, that you can win right now. And I don't even think with John Morant you can win right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's my problem with it.
I think with the Kings, though, if you reflect, they've only been good in 3-year windows. And I think that's what I'm thinking, is maybe that's the thought of what the franchise needs to start thinking, is we're only going to have 3-year windows.
So is this the start of a new 3-year window?
That's what I would say. And then maybe next year we could build up on that and build up on that, because like I said, who was the only rookie who had promise? Maybe Bobby Hurley in the whole 40 years of the franchise. And that was unfortunate what happened.
Well, Tyreek Evans was the rookie of the year.
Okay, but did he my point is from rookie year, did you see much of an explosion after that? Did you see much of an increase? Or did he come in as a really good talent? Teams found out what he was all about and simmered him down. I mean, did he make another jump?
Yeah, look, I think that your point on development is a good one for the past. I think they have done a pretty good job as of late developing, and I'll explain in a little bit. But I get what you're saying. It's just, which way does this team think they can go? Because I don't know if you're really opening up. Let's go under yours. You give up Keon Ellis, you give up Valanciunas, and you give up Keegan Murray to bring in a John Morant. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got, I don't know what Jaw's contract looks like. You've got Zach LaVine for another 2 years. You've got Sabonis for 3 more years. I just don't know. I don't think you have enough to fill the fringes. even with those 3 guys for that 3-year window.
But would that be, let's compare it to the teams that were good. Would that be good enough to equal what the 1998 Kings were, to be the 8th seed and start something?
I'm going to say no. And
Okay.
here's why I'm going to say no. The Kings have the ability to, when they play well, they're excellent in transition, and it's usually defense turning into offense. And if you trade away Keegan Murray and you trade away Keon Ellis, you have now just traded away your 2 best defenders. John Morant does not play a ton of defense. We know the issue with Sabonis, and Zach LaVine, not a defender. I just,
even Valanciunas is a good defender.
Valanciunas is a good defender. Yep, absolutely. And I would say the Kings' defense this year kept them in more games than their offense.
Okay, fair
so
point.
I think that's what the big problem is there. And then you don't have a draft pick this year unless the Kings move back in. I mean, 1st round draft pick. So it's an interesting conversation. We'll continue it. McClain, great call. Great. I will never bring that movie up again. You keep calling like that. That will never come up again. I promise you.
Have a good weekend, and thank you very much.
You too. Appreciate it. It's a fair point about the development. It is a fair point. Up until 22-23. I think that's where that page turned. In fact, I guess we can kind of rehash this a little bit. I don't mind it. Last night we had somebody say Keegan Murray's overrated. Trade Keegan Murray. Definitely not as eloquent as McClain. Or Mac. Mac, you want to go by Mac or McClain? Okay, we'll go by Mac. Is Mac. All right. Keegan Murray, and this is based off of what I know and what I have seen. Keegan Murray has done everything the Kings have asked him to do in terms of developing. And the Kings have also done a very good job of developing him. And I know our eyes are hyper-focused on this side of the ball or the defensive side of the ball. That's where the hyper-focus was. Because the Kings need that guy that can guard 1 through 5. Keegan has already proved that he can shoot the ball. Now, here's the argument. And we had this conversation last week. The Beam Team year, and Keegan, if you hear this, it gets back to you. It is no disrespect whatsoever. Keegan stood in the corner and made wide open shots for the most part. And he knocked them down. Credit to him. But those looks were available because of how good the Kings ran that dribble handoff offense, because of the pace that the Kings played at. That's what opened up the looks. A big point of emphasis under Mike Brown was get to the corners. And so that's where Keegan found his niche. He got to the corners. I would argue that the Kings, it's not a lack of development offensively. The Kings have failed to give Keegan a chance offensively. And I think they know that. So I look at it a little bit different. Keon Ellis, you've developed him. The Kings are a top 4 team in the NBA when it comes to their G League affiliate. Not talking about what their record is. I'm not talking about any of that. I am talking about how well those two, and I understand they're under one roof, those two programs work together. They run the same sets for the most part. They play the same styles. They push the same principles. And that's more times than not why guys were able to stay ready when they fell out of the lineup. So I think, and this is where I'm a little bit torn, because I don't want to watch Kings fans suffer. I don't want to watch a terrible product. I want it to be entertaining. We all spend our time. Many of you spend your money, hard earned, to go out to games, buy the merch, spend $100 at the arena between food, parking for a night. I want it to be worthwhile, but I also want it to be realistic. And the way this team's built currently, the only move to me, there's two of them. The first,
the biggest thing is we need a point guard. That's for sure.
That's the biggest thing. You get a point guard. I know you're probably not going to get a top-notch guy. You get a solid point guard that can be the point of attack, that can be the playmaker. You get everybody else back into their natural positions, which means, yes, you need to get a 4. You need to get somebody with length. You need to develop. If we're going to use that word, and I think Mac's right, you need to develop Isaac Jones. Just like you have developed Keegan Murray, just like you have developed Keon Ellis. And maybe that guy who's under contract next year can, and by the way, Isaac, just based off of raw athleticism, was able to impact games this year. Not a ton of them, but at times he was able to impact basketball games. So maybe you can develop him. He can play along Sabonis. There's your rim protector. There's your rim runner. Okay? You do those things and maybe this team can win. Maybe this team can scratch the playoffs as it currently is on paper. Maybe. But you start trading away Keon Ellis's, Keegan Murray's, which both of those guys, there's big decisions to be made with their futures here in the next, this summer and this coming season. You start trading them away, the product goes pretty sour pretty quick because you don't have a ton to work with what you need to fill out. And you are a offensive team. And to me, Sacramento does not, like, as a fan base, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. But Sacramento, it's not the offense that really gets Kings fans going. It's the hustle. It's the grit. It's the toughness. It's the, you're coming into our building, you're going to get beat up by our guys, and you're going to get beat up by us as the fans. We're going to be loud all night. It's when Kings fans and the team play tennis back and forth. They kick it back and forth to each other. By the way, I saw a great video. Patrick, I saw you're off. I guess there's this tradition at MSG, whenever tennis goes to MSG, that they pull somebody out of the crowd and they do a point with a fan. And it looked like they did a plant with Nadal, where this guy's like popping the ball like barely over and he's hitting it really high. And then all of a sudden he hits this crazy forehand right at Nadal, which Nadal returns. And then the dude sends it back on the baseline for a winner. And I'm just like, what? There's no way that guy was a regular fan. So I think you develop there. And that's a better brand of basketball for the long term. I think that's a better brand of basketball for what this fan base likes. And I also think it gives you your best long-term route to success under your head coach right now, Doug Christie. Because if you pull these things apart, you're not going to develop Ja Morant. You're not going to develop Domantas Sabonis a ton more. You're going to work on his mid-range game. You have to, giving up on Keegan Murray without giving Keegan Murray, and you can make the argument that Keegan needs to take the bull by the horns a little bit more. And I thought he did that the second half of the season. I thought he kind of pushed back the second half of the season. Devin Carter, great point. Continue developing him. That's where I would personally, before I'm bringing in a Ja Morant, I'm testing a point guard here. I'm developing the guys we talked about, and I'm putting a focus on the guys that we talked about. That's what I think. It's going to take you 2 years, but I think in 2 years, when that Levine contract comes off the book, assuming you are able to keep some of the guys that we're talking about and you give them an opportunity. And by the way, if Keegan can't play offense, okay, then you know what you have. But the young man's just never had a chance. Anytime you run sets for him, usually more times than not, he does well offensively. But he gets frozen out. And DeMar DeRozan, unfortunately, froze him out another year. So you can ask the question, has he ever really had the chance on the court in the NBA to develop offensively? Go back and watch some film, by the way, of some of Keegan's individual playmaking with the shot clock running down this season. You'll be surprised. He's worked in a very good step back fadeaway from the free throw line. It's extended. So that's where I'm seeing like this in his body, the way he's developed. I just, if you trade Keegan now, you know what he is defensively. I think he can be a 18 to 20 point guy a night in the 3 position, but you're asking him to play out of position right now, which is a problem. We're going to get to wrestling in a second. Let's get to some of these. Yo, I can't wait until he develops. Yo, Dennis, as a Kings fan, you've been waiting your entire life. You can't wait another year? Scott Perry set the expectations pretty low for this season, if you didn't notice. Keegan and Keon and Wiggins for Ja Morant. Yeah, I'm not... You're going to... Again, who the heck is going to defend? Who's your point of attack defender? Don't tell me Devin Carter. You're not putting Devin on Giannis. You're not putting Devin on Durant. You don't have one. And you still have... You're basically saying, if you ship that out, you are now saying, we are an offensive team, hands down, but you have the exact same problem defensively, where you have to pack the paint, meaning most likely teams are going to be shooting in the high 30s, maybe low 40% from beyond the three-point line, which means what? Which means you're going to be at the bottom of the league at defending the 3. So, yeah, I'll send you the video. It was really interesting. Jonas for money, but we can leave him. Keon, Devin, and Monk. Why would you take 3 people at the same position? What point guard? Domas.
Well, the biggest thing is we need a point guard. That's for sure.
Let's see. We can't have the home court advantage like we did back in the Arco Arena days. I agree. I get that. The buildings are different. I think probably the 2 teams in the finals right now, if I'm being candid about it, those 2 teams probably have the buildings that are the most similar to Arco Arena right now, between the Thunder and the Pacers. Probably, well, I lean Thunder because of the building, but the fans, yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. That means they will draft a big man with the pick. Well, again, can you continue to develop guys? Mac brought it up, and yo, I've been the one covering the Stockton Kings for 2 years. I've watched that program. I talked to the people down there. People are developing, for sure. I think the Kings player development since Mike Brown came in as coach, again, top probably 5. Top 5. And I would die on that hill. So if you want to go to war with me on that hill, we can do it. Because I'll name off guys that are been all-stars that have continued to develop. But Mac's right. Historically, and I thought really an amazing analogy with Chris Webber and Ja Morant being at similar spots. I think that's a very, very good analogy. Yeah, Peter, you need 2 of them. Spot freaking on. You do. Because I don't think Devin Carter is going to be that guy. I don't. So it's going to be an interesting offseason. Sham says it's going to be the craziest one ever. This is going to be one I thought it was a knock on Monty's tenure that the Kings were more times than not reactive when it came to free agency and when it came to trade deadlines. I wanted them to be more proactive, which they were to a degree this year because the Valanciunas deal was in place longer before, a couple of days before it had been reported. That had been in place actually for a little bit. But the Fox thing, I don't know if I put that in the proactive category, but this is an off season that the Kings need to be a little more reactive. You've got to see where the chips fall, and that's when you attack. And I know there's reports talking about Jake LaRavia would love to play for Doug Christie. I've laid that case out how many times on this channel now? A zillion on why that's a good idea. So I think, yeah, trade wouldn't work. Yeah, and you're taking a really big risk with Ja. I mean, doesn't that just add to our main course debate? If you're new to the Kings court, we talk about Kings have some decent main courses, but they've got really no good sides. And then you've got these things that could be really good sides, but you just don't know. Like, I don't know. You're trading away. I go back to what I said probably 2 months ago. These next 2 years, if you can hunker down and try to at least stay safe. And what I mean by that is don't lose or give up what I consider to be some universal pieces. Or, hey, heck, maybe Zach LaVine stays healthy. Maybe he plays at an all-star level. This team's record's better. And all of a sudden, his contract is tradable. Maybe that opens things up. But I think truly your only way, I know I didn't get to this, and we're going to get to Adam here in just 2 seconds. I guess when I look at a traditional rebuild for the Kings, your one option left to have that traditional rebuild is trading Domantas Sabonis. And that's under the assumption the Kings did the right thing with Domas. And they don't do what they did with De'Aaron Fox. You get future picks for him. And then you develop on, you give Keegan Murray a longer runway. You give some of these other guys a longer runway. And yeah, it's going to be a reset, but you still have the universal pieces. Because if you want your superstar and you're going to acquire him via the draft, you've got to have the universal pieces to go around him. So I guess you're basically giving up on a full rebuild, the option for a full rebuild if you were to trade for Ja Morant. And I don't like that. I think at the end of the day, you still kind of have that in your back pocket when it comes to Sabonis. So very interesting stuff. We need to spread out the money more than, yeah, I agree. Peter, you put this out beautifully. Sajonas brothers, look at you guys. And I saw your stuff, by the way. I saw your stuff. The song lyrics, the bridge. I mean, I can't say jumping the nets. What am I supposed to do with that? I can't put that up. Somebody probably has lost a loved one to some of that stuff. And yes, I commend you for being clever, but I can't put that up. You guys are funny sometimes. Absolutely killing me. Good stuff, though. Keep it coming. You got Grant. Speaking of that, you got Grant coming up at 8 o'clock tonight. Join him to talk game 1. You can also talk. He'll be talking hockey tonight. Can't wait for that. Edmonton and the Florida Panthers game 2. Heck of a series going on there. And whatever else you want to get into. Grant and I will also be back on Sunday. Yes, Sunday, to do a NBA Finals post-game show. All right, it's that time. You know what time. We're doing our wrestling. Adam, we've been doing all this imaging around here on the King's Court, and I haven't gotten you imaging yet, man. I guess we can bring you in on this.
Hello, ladies.
Oh gosh.
Hello, ladies.
Oh, what are we doing? What's up?
Come on, you know I love Val Venus.
Were you watching at the beginning of the show? Okay.
Yeah.
It's scrubbed.
So you got something for me, and it's not Val Venus.
No, I'm saying his first ever entrance video. No, that's where that started. I was getting Val Venus for you, and I was like, oh, I got to find the original entrance video. You can't find it anywhere. You can find 9 seconds of it downloaded.
That's depressing because he was one of the shining stars of the Attitude era. And yeah, I don't know. I sort of feel like Val Venus right now when he met Mr. Yamaguchi. We won't get into that.
I mean, you're tiptoeing around it. You mean might as well.
That's a private conversation.
How did you rip that shirt, dude, before he got fired? By the way, R-Truth fired by the WWE.
Yeah. Okay. So as soon as he got fired, they pulled this shirt from the website. And so I went directly to eBay and bought this shirt. It just came in today. It's pretty accurate, but this is a total generic bootleg shirt.
Okay.
It looks exactly the same, but this is like, I don't know, plastic on my chest
and ice packs on your seat.
Yep.
I can tell you don't look very comfortable. We gonna get through this segment, okay?
Okay, great. I feel great.
Good. You're getting some love. Yeah, you know what? Basketball really quick. Then we're coming back to you, Peter. Scottie Pippen Jr. That would be great. Jerry likes him a lot. I like him too. Adam needs a toothpick in his mouth that he can flick.
I'll do you one better. It's a Nicorette mint. So
Nicorette mint, huh? Are you trying to kick the sticks? I know what you're trying to kick.
Yeah, I kicked the sticks about 4 years ago.
Okay. Damn. That's a tough thing to do. Is this the best time to be doing
that? No, I kicked it 4 years ago. I took Chantix before it got banned because it caused cancer. But it totally works. So if anyone out there is a smoker and wants to quit, and you can find some bootleg Chantix on the market, I highly suggest it.
Are you kicking the other though?
It was kind of my we just parlayed it a little bit.
All right, fair enough. Adam, Tristan, who's waited all week for this. WWE become too reliant on part-timers in their main events, or is balance finally right?
I don't know. I just think that they're overloaded right now. Personally, on like they're log jammed with talent right now, and so that's why we're seeing. Okay, R-Truth, we love the dude. I'm sad to see him go. Do I think it was the right decision? Probably not, but they are so log jammed with talent right now, and they keep signing more people and bringing more people up from NXT. So something's got to give there.
That was the wrong place. I'm with you. That was the wrong place to give.
Part-time, like Logan Paul's
full time. I thought.
He's kind of on the Roman schedule, I'd say.
Okay.
But it's kind of to be expected. Too reliant on him? No, I don't think they're too reliant.
I'll tell you what they're too reliant on with a part-timer. That's John Cena. They're too reliant on this overbooking that's going on with John Cena. Adam, I can't get through. I can't imagine another 2 or 3 matches that absolutely make no sense, where just there's so much that goes against the rules and so much added to it, and run-ins and 9 refs. Like, I'm already exhausted, and we're how many stops into the Cena retirement tour?
Yeah, well, how many do
Right.
we have left? I think we're somewhere around 15 to 20 in that range, right? So we're halfway through the year. So I guess we still got a little bit of juice in the squeeze there, but like a tag team match with him. Okay. I'll share my take on that once we go through the picks.
But my problem's with how we got to that tag team match. You have a match with Jey Uso, it's a title match against Seth Rollins. Is Seth Rollins? No,
Cody and
but
Jay.
I'm talking about how we got to it. Who was Jay fighting for the title on Saturday night's main event? Logan Paul. You've got that match, right? And then you have Cena come out, who pulls the referee out, which should have been an automatic disqualification. And so everybody,
Correct.
at least, I'm not going to say everybody, I'm thinking the match is over at this point, right? But then, whatever plays out, plays out. Jay goes, does the splash, and then pins Logan Paul. And I'm just like, what? Just like the Randy Orton stuff, like with 90 people, like, it's breaking the rules.
It is breaking the rules. I'm not cool with it. I just don't get why there's an exception for that. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like there's an exception.
Maybe the exception is John Cena is ruining wrestling, so the under context is the matches are going to go against kind of rules. I don't know.
Kind of to your point, like, the refs are instructed that if they have to count to 3, that's what it is, and we'll figure the storyline out later. So it's just kind of weird that we didn't do that here.
No, I hear you. Chad Gable. I don't think we talked about this, but the way he got spiked on his neck, you and I would have feeding tubes right now. We would not be walking.
Probably.
We'd have halos. That was scary stuff. And that was a stupid idea. Like, Penta, first off, is not like a strong guy, right? So what's the
I mean, he's not as strong as Chad Gable, but I think that dude is built.
Okay.
That dude's probably 6'1", 225, and I think he can probably handle a 5'7", 180 Chad Gable.
But his character is not one that I think about like,
Right.
I'm going to be so impressed if he picks up 2 people at the same time. And by the way, Dragon Lee had no room to land either. It was just a really bad idea of a spot.
Yeah, I mean, it was brutal. Like, he got stretched out. And it didn't look fun, but the dude finished the match, and I love Chad Gable. I love what he does, and I know he's undersized probably compared to Vince's model, but the dude, like, he is mini Kurt Angle.
He is. He's starting to look more like him all the time. I agree.
He is in good shape right now.
So we got 2 events this weekend, right? We've got Worlds Collide, which I don't think I don't even know like a quarter of the wrestlers. If you want to do the like the wrestlers, we can hit those really quick. But more importantly, Money in the Bank, which apparently Triple H is not a big fan of, and apparently that backstage drama that we talked about between Dwayne and the company, they're like looking to push Triple H
If
out.
you smell what The Rock is cooking.
Yeah, I've heard both sides. That initially what I was reading is like they want Triple H out, which I think is a stupid idea. But then I also read today that WWE is maybe not so fond of Dwayne right now, and so they're keeping him away, and they tried to keep him away prior to WrestleMania. So who knows what the hell is going on, but you got to get your cards
Can't we all
in
get
line.
along?
Yeah, and that's what's so weird, right? Like Triple H and The Rock have had a history of together, and they built each other's success off of each other, it feels like, in a lot of ways. And so for them to be beefing, like, I get it. It's, 30 years down the line. It's a corporation. They all have huge titles to their names now. So, but still, I'm like, you guys can't figure this out. You've been working together for 30 plus years.
I just think The Rock has done everything. Like, okay, to a degree, is it below The Rock to be in this kind of drama? Like, to me, it exposes a little bit behind The Rock if all this stuff's true. Like, it really matters that much to you. You're the biggest star in Hollywood. You've done everything in the company. Like, it just kind of feels like I've got to have it all, like a greediness. And I know, like, some of the brightest and most successful people are greedy, but like Triple H seems, and he's got his own things, but like, dude really has carried this company well. Like, can you imagine a Vince McMahon exit going any better than what this has been?
No, who else would you
Yeah.
put in
Well,
there?
that's exactly what I'm saying. What if you get Jeremy Borash or like somebody like that booking, and The Rock wants to bring his own guy into book?
The problem is The Rock. And he needs to, if he wants to run creative for WWE, then do that. But don't micromanage Triple H, who you've known and worked with for so long. The product has been as hot as it's ever been right now. And you handcuff someone when they're doing a good job. Like, if you're, if your business is doing well, don't mess with it.
And that but that's where like that fine line is, because Rock's on the board of TKO, and I think like, and it draws back to this R-Truth situation. I think really what happened is TKO, whoever's telling or giving Triple H the instructions that we need to cut the budget this much, like, I bet, and Triple H looked at it and said, that's a lot of money. That's like 8 of our younger talents. Or we can, do this. They're putting Triple H, I think, in 2 corners.
Yeah.
And
and who puts people in corners?
You're the bosses. Exactly right. But that's where I'm saying, like, I don't think with WWE being as hot as it is, that TKO is like looking to slash the budget as much.
Well, who knows? It's internet stuff, but I read something today that they're in debt by $3 billion or $3 billion or something like that. TKO.
Yeah, it was like 4.3 to run that show at the Sphere in Las Vegas for UFC. I'm just kidding. All right.
Like a 10,000 seat venue.
All right, let's talk about Money in the Bank.
No wonder ticket prices are through the roof. Let's start with Lyra and Becky. Who you got? What are your thoughts?
It's
What's
going to
gonna
be
happen
Becky
here?
I think you got to get it on Becky before SummerSlam, so you can have some type of face chasing the title at SummerSlam. I think Lyra's moment was that big match on a smaller pay-per-view.
I'm going to go against the grain here and give me Lyra Valkyria.
Okay.
Woo!
All right.
Some of the things that have been brought up. Does this set up a Bayley versus Becky feud? Could Bayley interfere in the outcome of the match?
All right.
Lyra wins and it sets up a Becky feud.
I can play. I can play. No, I can't because of the Stone Cold music. Nope, we can't. Can't play that, and we can't play the one where the kids got the beer bottles going into the pool. That one's great. That one's so good. All right. So you think Bayley maybe returns? That makes sense. Because they're going to split these up. Let's go here. Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Rhea, Alexa, Naomi, Roxanne Perez, Julia, or Stephanie Vaquer. Yeah.
I don't know where to go here. I think the easy pick is Rhea.
Okay.
It's so easy. And then I think also the second easiest pick is maybe Naomi.
Think about this. You have before WrestleMania, 3 people in this match were in NXT.
Yep. Like less than 2 months ago, maybe with the exception of Roxanne. That's what makes it difficult to pick. I heard something that where Alexa Bliss gets to the top of the ladder, unbuckles a briefcase, and her doll falls out, and she takes it and walks away. And she didn't get the Money in the Bank. She just wanted the doll. Gosh, I don't know. For no good reason, I want to say Roxanne. If I had a backup, I might go Julia. I don't know. Woo! But we also need Mommy in the Bank.
Yeah.
It's got to happen because you can't do Mommy in the Bank 3 years later.
I don't think you two. I think you need Mommy to get into a feud with one of the younger talents. Rhea's been She's been around the talent. Yeah. She's been around the title too long. You can't keep her around the title. So if I had to bet, because they're going to keep Vaquer a face, I would guess somehow a feud starts between Rhea and Julia. That's assuming that Roxanne Perez is the one that wins it. I'll go this far with you. Let's break it down to the first level, and then we'll go to the second. If an NXT person from 2 months ago was to win this briefcase, I think it's Roxanne. Okay, we agree there. I don't think it's Naomi, and here's why. You've still got a lot of meat on the bone with Jade Cargill and Bianca. You just had that thing where Bianca, you've got a solid storyline there, number one, because Naomi broke into Bianca's house. I guess we're going AEW rehash storylines. So she's going to be after her. I think it ultimately comes around that Bianca was in on the thing with Jade Cargill. Yeah. So I think that's wrapped up pretty tight. I go back to Alexa Bliss. This is probably how I don't know if you noticed the other day, but they said something about Alexa Bliss, but instead of using 6, they use 6. As it was Joe Tessitore who said it. I think this probably reignites somehow it will get her back with the 6 eventually, but it puts a title in that stable. I think Alexa or Roxanne. That's which way I'm going.
I think I'm going to go Julia because we've seen Roxanne. We've seen Stephanie Vaquer. We haven't seen anything from Julia other than a match. The tough part is like, this isn't a knock, but Julia and Vaquer don't speak English. And I think it's really tough. It's tough to pull that off. So, okay, I'll take Julia. I'll split. You got Roxanne? That's your pick?
You haven't yet. Well, okay,
Or-
you haven't seen much from Vaquer either. That's the thing.
Yeah, but you've at least had more matches than either one of the other
Roxanne
two.
Perez has a ton of matches.
Roxanne. Yeah, and she's also had mic time. So I think like the person that we've seen the least of, maybe this is a way to spotlight them a little bit.
And remember, there's no
it.
guarantee they have to go after the women's titles.
Nope. And we'll get into that with the men's side.
Maybe you get to a Rhea Roxanne feud. I'd be all about that. All right, I'm gonna go. Damn, Roxanne's. I think Roxanne is like, honestly, she's not as over, but she's closer to that LA Knight situation. I'm going Alexa Bliss.
All right, I'll go Julia.
Let's go Cena and Logan Paul versus Cody and Jay.
You know what's wild is like the order you're doing things is exactly the same order that I have mine in.
I'm glad you actually phoned in to the pre-production meeting earlier today. Thank you.
Yep.
Cheers.
Give me Cody and Jay.
I agree. Have to, right?
I don't know if you have to. I think if you want real heat on Cena, maybe you do let them win, but I think this kind of opens the door for Cena to be even more like, oh, this YouTuber, like none of you guys can cut the mustard with me or whatever you want to say. I think it just kind of gives him more fodder to say like no one's on his level. Even though he lost, he could blame it on Logan Paul, who's probably going to take the pin.
Well,
but you also Jake Paul up.
Here's the thing: you got Night of Champions coming up next, so you're gonna have a Jey Uso John Cena match. Probably not for the title. They're not going to put the titles together. It'll be a non-title match.
Throw them together, crown jewel.
It'll be a non-title match. That's what they did last time.
I hate.
Well, I'm just saying. I'm gonna go. Here's what I'll do. I think that's exactly what it is. It's gonna be Cody and Jay that go over, and because I think you're gonna get Jay pinning Cena, and I think Cena's gonna put the title on the line against Jay in Night of Champions.
Well, I don't see that coming, but I think it's an easy way for John to be able to say like, this guy's pathetic. You guys are pathetic. I don't know. It's an easy way for him to dismiss a loss.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. So you're going John and Logan?
No, I'm going Cody Jay.
Men's Money in the Bank. This is where it gets interesting.
Let's start with the most boring one first. I'll let you pick.
The most boring in the match?
Boring pick. Yeah.
Andrade.
Yeah. He's just going to take shots the whole
Or he's
time.
not. He hasn't been on TV a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think he's going to be a punching bag in this match.
Okay. Well, I think we can both agree on this. Roman Reigns is returning to screw Seth Rollins. Can we agree on that?
No,
Really?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think Roman's coming back for a minute.
Okay.
They're trying to restructure his contract, apparently.
All right. So on.
I don't want to restructure his contract too, if I'm being
Why is
honest,
it massive?
because he's there. Oh, it's got to be massive, but he's there once every 3 months.
I mean, restructuring doesn't mean you're getting less money. It
Yeah,
mean
we could stretch.
Acknowledge me.
just saying. All right, so Andrade, I can go with you there. Andrade is going to take a bunch of shots. He'll be the guy that breaks the ladder and doesn't come back into the match, probably. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
something like that. Second least interested in winning
Solo.
Money in the Bank for you. Ooh, I'll disagree with you there, but go
I
ahead.
just think you've already got a feud going. You're teasing this thing with whatever the new. What did they? I know he's like a guy that's known around the world, but they gave him JC. Yeah. You got him and the Fatu stuff going. I don't know.
Yeah, but do you think if Solo won the Money in the Bank, I think there's two routes. He somehow cheap cashes in on whoever the heavyweight champ is going to be at that point. And then maybe you can build a sort of feud with him and Jacob. But I think the most interesting one is he tries to cash in on Jacob. And then you finally get that split between the new bloodline or whatever this thing is.
But it's not a split, right? Because Jacob's kind of already doing his own thing. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, but he's still like every segment, it's those three.
No, I got you.
Right?
I got you. Okay.
Plus, I think you could build that into something more where Jacob has his bloodline and he probably gets Tama Tonga and Tongaloa. And then maybe it's Solo and JC. And then they start recruiting. Gosh, what's the other Fatu that's floating around in the Indies? Yeah, there's a bunch of them out there. They're still in the Indies that are probably waiting to get called up. So I think maybe you can build something off that. Maybe, you get Jay and Jimmy and Roman in the mix to side with Jacob or Solo. I don't know.
It's so retarded.
Yeah, that's a stretch. But I think they're.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just not a big Solo guy. I feel like WWE. I'm not a big fan of his, but I also feel like WWE has not done him any favors whatsoever with the booking. All right, what do you think they do with the other guys, Penta and El Grande Americano?
Penta, I mean, he's going to be the showstopper in this match. I don't think he wins at all. I don't know where you go with Penta with the Money in the Bank briefcase. So I'll say no to that. Here's my next most interesting one. El Grande Americano.
It is
wins.
Interesting. I think it makes the most sense.
And he cashes in the very same night at AAA Worlds Collide as Chad Gable versus El Vikingo.
You can't, because the one event's before the other. Worlds Collide's before.
What if his mask pulled before he wins, pins, and then goes to AAA that same night?
Oh, I see what.
And
but AAA. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Super off the wall theory, but
my theory is Chad Gable has never held a singles title in WWE, and dude has gotten over multiple other talents just off of his Chad Gable gimmick, right? Like, and now he's found a way to get himself over in 2 gimmicks. You go through what he went through with the neck thing just recently, you're going to have a lot of respect and goodwill backstage right now from the people that are booking these matches. And I think El Grande Americano has been it's been great. I love it. But you can, I was going to say, you can only go so far with it. Like, if you do that, then he's not cashing in on, Jay or Cena or anybody. Huh?
El Vikingo, the AAA.
Well, okay,
champ?
then you take it that way, El Vikingo, and they took it off of Alberto Del Rio, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you
Did you
know
notice
who Alberto Del Rio is?
Yeah, I think I watched some of his movies when I was like 18, maybe.
You watched some of his movies? Oh my gosh.
That
don't make no sense.
Did you pay attention to the boots that El Grande Americano, I like to call him EGA,
Okay.
was wearing
this
past week? They had CG on the boots, and Chad Gable said that he loaned them to EGA because his boots didn't fit him.
Okay.
So I think we're getting ready for a match.
All right, here's the most interesting name, because they kind of are at a crossroads and need something new. LA Knight.
It better be freaking LA Knight winning this, or it's nothing.
You think it is LA?
This one makes the most sense. Yeah, you could go with Seth Rollins and do that thing, and it's an easy, cheap cash in for the bad guys and the new faction and all that crap. But this is LA Knight's time. Damn it. Give him the freaking money in the bank. We're cashing in.
All right.
Yeah.
He's going LA Knight. I'm going to go LA Knight with you. I think it
Let's
finally
go.
makes the most sense for him. Like, he's at the...
And he should have had it.
No, he shouldn't have.
But
no, he shouldn't.
Right. You're right. If they're playing the long-term stuff, then you do it now.
You absolutely do it now. And you probably... Well, here's the thing. And we got to get ready to go here in a second. We have to... I guess I'm going to do it. We have to...
Acknowledge me.
We have to acknowledge this. That whoever beats John Cena for that title, whenever that comes along, that person's going to be champion for a minute. Like, it's the biggest. It is right up there with the streak ending at WrestleMania for The Undertaker with Brock Lesnar. Like, it's that big of a deal putting somebody over, like, to that degree. I don't know. I've had a few names in mind, but I who do you think it is?
I think it's Punk.
You think it's Punk?
Hasn't held gold for 2.5 years since he.
But you're not making
back.
a new star. That's the problem. But they didn't make a new star with The Undertaker either. But that was a Vince McMahon move.
I mean, aren't the moves Vince McMahon right now?
You think they're Vincey? Okay.
Hey, I got tickets to All In. Book it.
You're gonna drop that on the air? this close.
Yeet.
All right. You hang on. You hang on.
We'll talk.
All right. Stay on the air or stay there. Okay. Really quick. All right. That's Adam. We will be back next week. Grant here at 8:00 tonight. Enjoy the hockey game. Thanks for being here this week. Fridays here are a little bit more relaxed. I'm going to be doing some more stuff on the audio side. So make sure that you subscribe to the audio channel, the YouTube channel. Give us a like, give us a thumbs up or retweet, whatever it may be. It goes a long ways for us. Enjoying Grant tonight, 8 o'clock. Pacers, Hallie, Steel Game 1. Grant and I'll be back Sunday together for Game 2 post game. This is a series, everybody. This is a series. So have a great one. Be safe. Enjoy the Stanley Cup finals tonight. Courts dismissed.